Try to win an argument against someone who entirely controls the surrounding reality. You present a fact, they rewrite the history. You offer proof, they claim you're unstable. When your opponent controls the social environment, they don't have to debate you. They just keep changing the rules of the board until you forfeit. Joe Scull lived inside a system exactly like this for 20 years. He was the target of a relentless, methodical smear campaign orchestrated by the most powerful manipulator in his life, his own mother. Her power came from her environment. They lived in a tight-knit, traditional Russian Orthodox Old Believer community. In closed-off groups like this, public reputation is everything, and loud, persistent gossip functions as absolute truth. She didn't destroy his reputation for fun. She did it to protect a dark family secret. Joe had been assaulted by his cousin, and to protect the family's image, his mother chose to paint her own son as a delusional liar. By preemptively destroying his credibility, she ensured that if he ever told the truth, no one would believe him. For decades, she weaponized their local geography in the Portland area to box him in. At church feasts, weddings, and family gatherings, she loudly broadcasted rumors about him. She dictated the narrative to the people around them, isolating him completely. This is the psychological trap of gaslighting. If Joe argued back, yelled, or showed anger, he would immediately provide his mother with the exact evidence she needed to prove he was unstable. Defending himself locally only tightened the snare. Joe recognized the math of the situation. He could never win an emotional war fought on his mother's turf. To survive, he had to abandon the local battlefield entirely and pivot to asymmetric warfare. Military historians call this the Fabian strategy. When you can't defeat an enemy in direct combat, you refuse to fight. You retreat, you preserve your energy, and you quietly build supply lines and infrastructure while the enemy exhausts themselves punching its shadows. Joe started building his infrastructure in 2006. He ran an early mass messaging stunt involving the Oregon Food Bank. His community used the resulting local news article to mock him as a delinquent, completely missing that he was testing the foundational architecture for a massive data scraping operation. He took that architecture and traveled to San Diego, acquiring raw source databases from underground tech networks alongside a partner named Nick Konoff. He was gathering the raw materials for a global system. The operation scaled internationally. Working with another contact, Andy Tice, Joe executed off-the-books campaigns under a Panamanian holding company, routing massive amounts of data through servers in Ukraine. This diagram illustrates the resulting scale. That single dot is the Oregon community. The surrounding network is a database of 350 million direct cell phone numbers across the US and Canada. Joe built an operation so large it eventually secured partnership deals with Amazon. While building the tech, he methodically gathered receipts. He archived 50 hours of audio recordings of his family. He saved screenshots of Cyrillic hate comments from church members. He kept physical proof of his Hollywood SAG-AFTRA credits, including his work on the set of Leverage with actress Gina Bellman. Joe's 20 years of silence were highly productive. He was constructing a digital evidence vault filled with third-party verification that no local gossip could rewrite. With the infrastructure complete, Joe offered his family an exit. He gave them 3 chances to resolve the decades of abuse in private with a simple apology video. They arrogantly refused. Joe set a trap. He texted his mother a confrontation video, adding, "This is my new number, call me." But the number belonged to the abusive cousin. The mother took the bait, dialed the trap number, and ambushed her own niece. Joe forced his 2 abusers into a collision course without having to be in the room. In fact, he wasn't even in the country. Joe stepped completely out of the blast radius, relocating to Montenegro. He was sitting thousands of miles away while the trap sprang in Oregon. Trapped on the phone, the terrified cousin had to follow Joe's instructions. Armed with the digital dossier Joe had provided, containing the Amazon corporate links, verified contact numbers, and the 2006 archives, the cousin systematically dismantled the mother's lies, proving over the phone that Joe held the ultimate high ground. Joe defeated a master manipulator by removing himself as the target and forcing her to destroy her own carefully crafted narrative against her own proxy. In a single phone call, the power dynamic inverted. The mother's local gossip empire, built over 20 years in church halls, stood no chance against a man who now operated with verified corporate credentials and a reach that extended far beyond the borders of their community. Joe focused on his next project, a global crypto token system. He leveraged his existing 350 million number database for its primary marketing function, operating from Montenegro, where his family's narrative couldn't reach him. This highlights a shift in the digital age. Physical geography and local social hierarchies no longer hold a monopoly on the truth. A single server, armed with verified data and years of physical receipts, acts as a counterweight to a lifetime of gaslighting. The outcome of this information war was decided long before the video was sent. It was built into the technical infrastructure and the patience required to let the evidence speak for itself.